She was the town's most graceful heiress. Her sweet smile instantly captivated the poor boy. He didn't snap out of it until his friend kept calling his name. He knew right then he was smitten, but the gap between their worlds meant he could only admire her from afar. On the way home, his friend's car stalled and wouldn't start, blocking the traffic behind them. Drivers began honking impatiently. Dawson politely stepped forward to apologize, but as soon as he walked away, they honked even louder. They even mocked Dawson for driving such a junker. Amanda couldn't stand her friend's mockery. She thought their behavior was incredibly childish. She stepped in and helped Dawson push the car to the shoulder. Dawson's honest nature made a real impression on Amanda. She apologized to Dawson for her friend's behavior and kindly asked if he needed her to call a tow truck. But the shy Dawson didn't realize her intention. It wasn't until she and her friends drove off that his friend walked up and pointed it out. Even though Dawson couldn't read her mind, fate had already begun to bring them together. One day, while Dawson was reading by the road, he happened to spot Amanda's car. It seemed to be having trouble. She stood there looking helpless. Seeing the situation, Dawson eagerly went over to ask what was wrong. Amanda said her car would start. Dawson took a quick look under the hood. He saw immediately that she'd tampered with it on purpose, but he didn't call her out on it. Dawson fixed it in no time. He told Amanda to try starting it up. Sure enough, the engine roared to life. To show her gratitude, she asked Dawson out on a date. Happy that her plan worked, she drove away smiling. On his way back, Dawson was over the moon. He knew love was finally coming his way. But the moment he got home, his father stopped him. He wanted Dawson to play cards with him. He also ordered him to help with the delivery the next night. But Dawson had a date with Amanda, so he refused his father's demand. But his father immediately beat him for it. The others didn't even bat an eye at the scene, since Dawson had been his father's punching bag since childhood. His father's constant belittling had left Dawson with deep insecurities. After enduring this for nearly 20 years, he decided to finally fight back for the sake of love. That night, he packed a bag, choosing to sneak away from that nightmare of a family, to pursue his own happiness. He couldn't let his family hold him back anymore, but a heavy storm broke out on his way. With nowhere else to go, he ran toward a nearby house. Seeing no one around, he snuck into the garage to take shelter from the rain. The next morning, before he even woke up, the owner mistook him for a car thief and held him at gunpoint. The old man knew Dawson's father was a notorious local lowlife, but once he heard Dawson's story, he felt sympathetic, so he decided to take Dawson in. Amanda arrived early at the bar to wait for Dawson, but as the minutes ticked by, he still didn't show up. Anxious, she went to ask one of Dawson's friends. Then Amanda went to find Dawson herself. She asked him why he hadn't shown up. Dawson didn't want her to see the bruises on his face, so he stayed hidden behind the car hood and didn't answer her question. Seeing Dawson remain silent, Amanda stormed off in anger, but she wasn't willing to give up, so she came back. Seeing how distant he was acting, she walked away in disappointment. Dawson realized Amanda was serious about him, so he ran after her. To his surprise, Amanda had come back again. That was when she saw the wounds on his face and instantly understood why he missed their date. Dawson took Amanda to his secret spot. They talked about life under the starry sky, sharing stories of their upbringing and their plans for the future. Although Dawson had been beaten down by his father since childhood, he still had a kind heart. He was working hard to get into college, hoping that one day he could escape his nightmare of a family. They really hit it off. Amanda found herself falling hard for this genuine young man standing before her. On the way back, something shifted between them. The seeds of love quietly took root and began to blossom. Dawson, never one for words, picked a flower and gave it to Amanda to show her how he felt. The feeling was mutual. Amanda showed him she felt the same way, sealing the bond between them. Their love was simple. Just being together was wonderful enough. One day, while they were goofing around in the garage, Dawson saw something terrifying. His worst nightmare. His father had tracked him down with his crew. Terrified that Amanda would get hurt, Dawson made her drive away immediately. Okay, go. His father immediately started beating him. He knew his son had run away, just to be with some rich girl. He ordered Dawson to pack up and come home, but Dawson refused to go back to that endless abuse. Suddenly, a gunshot put a stop to the violence. The old man wasn't afraid of them one bit. He fired shot after shot at their car. Dawson's father realized he was outgunned, so he reluctantly left with his men. Dawson knew that if he didn't leave, his father would return to take revenge on Tuck, but the old man insisted he stay put. They'd deal with the rest later. Amanda was crying alone in her room, worried sick that Dawson was being beaten by his father. Just then, she heard a noise outside her window. She went over to open it. It was Dawson, standing in the pouring rain to apologize. Amanda invited him inside, but Dawson knew it wasn't the right time, so Amanda climbed out to stand in the rain with him. Dawson knew that everything that happened today must have terrified her, but he knows trouble like this is bound to happen again. He doesn't want to drag Amanda into it, but seeing the resolve in Amanda's eyes, Dawson is deeply moved. Although the old man got mixed up with Thug, he gained two devoted adopted children in return. They treat him like a real father, looking after his daily life. Here, Dawson finally finds a moment of peace and stability. He and Amanda fall deeply in love. They help the old man tend his garden, chase each other in the sun, and splash around in the water. In the morning, Dawson picks a flower to show his love, leaves it for her, and then makes breakfast while she sleeps in. They bask in the sunset, enjoying their private time together. Amanda sees the scars on his body, marks left behind by years of his father's abuse. Heartbroken, she sheds tears for him. Amanda's presence brings sunshine into Dawson's life. She shows him he's no longer alone, and gives him the courage to leave his past. But their difference in status means the road to love won't be smooth. Dawson goes to Amanda's house to attend her birthday party, knowing Dawson is good with cars. Her father invites him to see his garage. It's filled with luxury cars, each one a distant dream for Dawson. Knowing Dawson comes from nothing, her father bluntly puts him in place. Angry, Dawson drives off. Amanda knows her father must have said something. Dawson goes up to the water tower, looking completely lost. Amanda finds him there. Dawson knows Amanda has a bright future, and that he'd only be a stumbling block, but her determination gives him strength. Their love doesn't end because of family objection, but instead, it only made them cherish each other more. On the day of his best friend's wedding, Dawson served as the best man. Tuck had carefully prepared boutonnieres for them, and helped Dawson straighten his tuck. They weren't related by blood, but they were closer than any father and son. As Dawson and his friend rushed to the venue, they realized they'd forgotten Amanda's corsage, so they turned the car around to get it. Tuck had noticed the missing flowers too, and was just about to bring them out when Dawson's father showed up seeking revenge. They beat the old man mercilessly, and even used their truck to run over the garden Tuck had worked so hard to grow. Tuck could only watch in despair as everything was destroyed. When Dawson finally arrived, he found Tuck lying on the ground covered in blood, with the garden completely ruined. Although Tuck didn't say who did it, Dawson knew exactly who was responsible. He stormed inside and grabbed a rifle. His friend tried to stop him from doing something stupid, but Dawson was blinded by rage. His father knew he would come back, and was waiting for him at the house. Dawson pointed the gun at his father, but the man didn't even flinch. He knew Dawson was too soft-hearted to actually pull the trigger. Furious, Dawson punched him in the face instead. They started brawling, struggling for control of the shotgun on the ground. Suddenly, the gun went off, striking his friend who was standing nearby. It was supposed to be the happiest day of his life, but now, it had turned into a tragedy. Dawson was sent to prison for manslaughter. He couldn't forgive himself for what happened, but Tuck told him that if he testified against his father, he could get a lighter sentence. Hearing this, Dawson finally broke down and wept. Soon after, his father's drug operation was raided by the police. With Dawson's testimony, his father finally got the punishment he deserved. After Dawson went to prison, Amanda refused to give up on him. She firmly told Dawson that she would wait for him until he got out, but Dawson didn't want to ruin her future. He told Amanda not to come visit him anymore, and that he wouldn't come out to see her. With that, he walked away without looking back, ignoring Amanda's desperate cries from behind. He refused to turn around. For a while after that, Amanda still made time to visit him, but just as he had promised, he never came out to see her again. When she returned home, Amanda broke down in Tuck's arms. After repeated disappointment, she finally accepted the reality. Dawson was sentenced to 8 years. After his release, he didn't go looking for Amanda immediately. Instead, he chose not to disturb her life. He left town and found a job on an oil rig, where he worked for the next 10 years, and he remained single the whole time. Later, under constant pressure from her father, Amanda chose to get married and have children, but her marriage was far from happy. She and her husband constantly fought over trivial things. Every night, Amanda would feel a deep sorrow, secretly wiping away her tears alone. One day, Dawson got a call from a stranger, telling him that Tuck had passed away. Dawson immediately returned to handle the arrangement. Neither thought their paths would cross again, yet Tuck's death brought them back together. She was there, too. It turned out, Amanda had also received a call from the lawyer. They had jointly inherited the estate Tuck left behind. While sorting through his belongings, they stumbled upon an old photograph. Amanda told him that the little girl in it was her daughter. Tragically, she had died of illness at just 2 years old. Then they began to talk about everything that happened while Dawson was away. The walls built up over the years began to crack. They shared a meal together, discussing the lives they had led apart and what they had been through. After all these years, she thought she had moved on, but Dawson's words stirred up old feelings in her heart. She didn't know how to face him. The next day, they took the old man's ashes ashes and scattered them over his favorite spot. Before they parted ways, Amanda, finally, let out the feelings she had buried for years. Dawson knew he had let her down all those years ago, but it was too late to turn back time. Amanda returned home, but her husband's cold indifference only unsettled her further. Dawson decided to restore the garden, planning to stay there for a while. He went to visit his friend's widow. For years, he had been anonymously supporting her and her son, but she had guessed the truth long ago. She had already forgiven Dawson, but now she was worried about her son. That gang of thugs was dragging him down, making him do things he shouldn't. When Dawson heard this, he drove straight to that familiar, yet foreign house. He knew Aaron was going through exactly what he did as a child. Then his father showed up, and they got into a heated argument. But the Dawson of today was no longer afraid of him. His aging father, terrified of dying in prison, had no choice but to let them leave. Amanda couldn't take her life anymore, so she decided to confront her husband. She told him she had seen Dawson, and that she still loved him. She wanted to end their loveless marriage immediately. She sent a message to Dawson, pouring out her heart and confessing her feelings once more. Meanwhile, Dawson was clearing weeds in the garden, getting ready to plant new flowers, hoping that if Amanda ever returns here one day, she'll find a garden in full bloom. That night, Amanda received an emergency call. She rushed to the hospital, only to be told by the doctors that her son had been in a car accident. His heart had suffered severe damage, and he needed an immediate heart transplant. The news struck her like a bolt of lightning, completely crushing her spirit. She had already lost one child. She couldn't bear to lose her son, too. Meanwhile, Dawson was driving down the road when he was ambushed by his father and his gang. As he crossed the track, they forced his car to a stop. It was only then that Dawson realized he hadn't even finished listening to Amanda's voicemail before his father launched his attack. They opened fire on Dawson's car. When they got out to check if he was dead, Dawson, who had managed to take cover, fought back against them. He subdued them in no time. Just as Amanda was sinking into despair, the doctor suddenly told her a donor heart had been found. Amanda's son survived. Early the next morning, before she could fully process the trauma, her mother broke the devastating news of Dawson's death. It turned out that while Dawson was calling the police that night, his father had aimed at him from a distance. No one thought he would actually shoot his own son. Dawson was hit and collapsed to the ground. In his final moment, he saw a vision of Amanda one last time. When she heard the news, Amanda was overcome with grief. She took care of Dawson's funeral arrangement. 1 year later, Amanda's son called to tell her that he had identified the donor. It was then that Amanda realized the truth. Dawson had saved her son's life in the end. She returned to the house filled with their memories and found the final letter Dawson had left for her. Waiting for love is bound to be filled with hardship and pain. No matter how many years that wait may last, we should all hold tight to that faith, because only that faith can make what we've waited for even more worth cherishing.